الله أكبر حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل الله أكبر.
Iran has launched missiles and drones at its nuclear-armed neighbour Pakistan, sparking more fears that conflict could engulf the Middle East and the wider region. Iran said its strikes late on Tuesday night were targeting the Jaish al-Udl separatist group. This is a Sunni militant group in largely Shia Iran, which has been fighting for its own independence in the sort of southeast of Iran and has a presence in the fairly lawless and remote neighbouring Baluchistan province in Pakistan. The strikes killed at least 2 children and sparked fury from Pakistan, which warned there would be severe consequences. Islamabad has immediately withdrawn its ambassador from Tehran and has also said that it will ban Iran's ambassador, who's currently out of Pakistan at the moment, ban him from coming.
The responsibility for the consequences will lie squarely with Iran. We have conveyed this message to the government of Iran.
Now, this comes about a day after Iran launched similar strikes against targets in Iraq and in Syria. In Iraq, in northern Kurdistan, it said it hit what it called an Israeli spy base. In Syria, it said it was targeting the Islamic State terrorists, which it believes played a part or were behind a terrorist attack in Kerman earlier this month. Today, though, Iran's foreign minister does appear to have been trying to soothe the relations between Iran and Pakistan. He referred to Pakistan as a friendly brother nation and insisted that the people they were targeting in these strikes in Baluchistan were not Pakistani nationals but rather Iranians. Nonetheless, it remains to be seen whether Pakistan will feel the need to take further action.
The post-Cold War era is long gone. It expired no later than 2014. And we've returned to a world dominated by great power confrontation. And in essentially, there are 2 blocks in that right now. One is liberal democracy, led by the US, of which the UK is a prominent and important part. And in the other camp are the autocratic capitalists, led by China, but with Russia, and also in a slightly different way, Iran and North Korea siding on that side of the house. And in the middle is a lot of the world, like most of Africa and quite a lot of Asia, that is in neither camp, isn't sure which side to choose, doesn't really want to choose. But actually, in many cases, it's not obvious to them that they would choose us. And this confrontation is existing in a world where there are fundamentally different ideas about how the world works, and a massive competition for resources. And that competition is, for the first time in history, sharpened by the effects of population growth to 8 billion people on the planet and climate change. So this great power confrontation is being fought over things that matter to our security, our prosperity, and our values. And therefore, when you have a Russian invasion of Ukraine, that directly affects our security. It's about our relationship with Russia. When you have shipping in the Red Sea attacked by the Houthis, that directly affects our prosperity, because that's the stuff that's trying to get here. And 90% of UK food and energy comes by sea. The biggest challenge to us is Russia. And then Russia matters because China and other countries like Iran are watching how the West behaves in this confrontation with Russia. So if we choose not to stand up for ourselves, China and others will conclude that they can pursue their ambitions in the Far East, reasonably confident that since these matter less to us, that the chances of intervening are very small. And that's why the strikes in the Red Sea this last week and I think there'll be more to come, are so important because it is the UK and other countries, but other countries need to try harder, saying we will not put up with people trying to interfere with the flow of vital resources to our economy. You don't, we can disagree, but don't do that. And if we back off that now, then we are handing essentially a stranglehold on our economy to whoever wishes to get in the way of an unarmed merchant ship. Key thing is, if we were having this conversation 5 years ago, we might have assumed that China would bizarrely still operate on in the way that we dictated, to the world for a couple of hundred years, essentially. That era has passed. And what we're now realizing is that we're going to have to stand up if we want a voice in that discussion. And when we stand up, there's a cost attached to it. And some of that is military, some of it is economic. But this is a much harder world before you factor in, and we'll be doing it in a world destabilized by climate change. So, whole countries will fall to pieces because they have no water or desertification, creating a massive humanitarian thing, which we might want to say, well, that's not where we are, but it's not going to be like that. The consequences will absolutely touch us. This is a really much more challenging time for world affairs than at any point in my lifetime, to be honest.